Hi, I'm Jennifer with Cousin, and today I'm going to be making this project called Iridescent Beauty. It's a necklace and bracelet set, and the items for this project can be found at AC Moore. You can also find the project instructions on the project tab at acmoore.com. The supplies that we're going to be using today are 2 accents. I've chosen the green and purple accents. They have a lot of sparkle to them. There's also these mirror bead drops. They're pre-made with silver bead caps. I've also got some silver findings that we'll be using, including 6 and 4mm jump rings, along with a lobster claw clasp on both the bracelet and necklace. I've got some figure 8 chain here in silver, along with some S chain in silver. The tools that you'll need for this project are the needle nose pliers and the wire cutters. Optional tools are the round nose pliers or a second set of needle nose and a bead reamer. You're also going to need a ruler, and if you happen to have a bead mat or a cloth, even a towel, something to hold your beads so that way they don't roll off the surface. Makes it a lot easier for finishing your project. I've gone ahead and separated out all of the pieces that I'm going to need in order to complete the 2 projects. I've got all of my pieces laid out here for the bracelet. I have the S chain, some 4mm jump rings, a lobster claw clasp, and one of the accents. The necklace pieces are right here with the figure 8 chain, the bead drops, another accent, some 6mm jump rings, and the lobster claw clasp. I've also gone ahead and printed out the instructions from the projects tab on the AC Moore website. The project name is called Iridescent Beauty. So I'll have those instructions here and we'll follow those step by step. For the bracelet, the first step is to remove the top loop of the accent. So I'm going to take my needle nose pliers, grasp the loop, and just pull down. Now, depending on how well it breaks off, there might be a few little metal burrs left at the top, and I'm going to go ahead and use my my bead reamer to go ahead and file down the top. You just smooth it down enough that it won't scratch the skin. You can also try using your wire cutters and trim that as well. But for this, I got it pretty close, so I'm just going to use the bead reamer. Alright, now once that's filed down, set it aside. The second step is to attach 4mm jump rings at the middle of each side of the accent. So I've got my 4mm jump rings here. I like to use 2 pairs of pliers. So I've got my needle nose that are required for the project. I also have a second set of pliers. These are round nose. You can use a second set of needle nose pliers if that's what you have. So I'm going to go ahead and open my jump rings. I've got 2 of them. When you're opening the jump ring, it's helpful to pull one back and pull one forward. That way you're opening it and not distorting the shape of the jump ring. So I'll find the center side of the accent. I'm going to go ahead and attach one of the jump rings. And you just fit it through the hole. I'll use the pliers to close it up. Alright. And it should fit snug. There we go. Go ahead and add the jump ring to the other side of the accent. And it's important to make sure that they line up when you're attaching these, otherwise it'll sit a little funny on your wrist. It'll sit crooked. They're really small, so it's helpful to have 2 pairs of pliers. There we go. Alright, step 3 is to separate the S chain into 2 3-link sections, keeping the jump rings at each end of the sections. You'll see that each link here is attached by its own ring, so we're going to go ahead and keep those. So the easiest way to do that is to go ahead and pick out a 3-link section here and open the jump ring, then close it. And you can use your second set of pliers if that's easier. That way it closes completely. And now we've got this section here, and I'll remove this link. it's important to make sure that when you close your jump ring that the ends line up. There we go. So now we have two 3-link sections. The fourth step is to attach an S-chain section to each side of the accent, connecting the jump rings of the accent to the jump rings of the chain. So these jump rings that we had left on there are going to attach to the small jump rings that we put on the accent. Go ahead and open the jump rings using your pliers and slide it onto the small jump ring. Step 4. Attach an S-chain section to each side of the accent, connecting the jump rings of the accent to the jump rings of the chain. So we're going to go ahead and connect the jump rings that are on the accent here to the jump rings on the chain. I'll go ahead and use my 2 pairs of pliers to open the jump ring. Got one side done. I'm going to go ahead and open the jump ring this end, the second chain, and attach it to the accent. I like to use the 2 pliers to make sure that the ends line up perfectly and it doesn't distort the shape of the jump ring. Alright, our last step is to attach a lobster claw clasp to the jump ring at one end of the S-chain. So we'll open the little jump ring here at the end, slide on the lobster claw clasp, and use the pliers to close the jump ring. And that's it. Bracelet is complete. The jump rings that you left at the end of the S chain is actually the closure, so that way we don't have to add any more pieces to it. Alright. If you need to add a little length to the bracelet, I would suggest adding a piece of extender chain. You can cut a small length of extender chain, 1 to 2 inches, and by opening the last jump ring on the bracelet, go ahead and slide that piece of chain on. This is great, especially if you don't know what size the recipient's wrist is. It makes it into an adjustable bracelet, something that you can also add to a necklace as well. So now we've just added on an extra 1.5 inches of length to our bracelet. You can connect it at the large jump ring, or you can attach it along the chain to fit whatever wrist size. And now we're going to start on the necklace. I'm going to go ahead and get the supplies together for that. The necklace uses the figure 8 chain, a pendant, and some of the bead drops. So we're going to go ahead and start with the first step is to cut a 20.5 inch length of chain. I'm going to go ahead here and straighten out the chain. The figure 8 chain kinks up a little bit, but once you're wearing it, it'll lay flat. So don't be afraid of that. While you're making the piece, you might have to wiggle the chain around a little bit to straighten it out. So I've got the 18 inches and then the other 2.5. So I've got a 20.5 inch length of chain. Now you're going to notice with the figure 8 chain that the link is solid in the middle of the 8. So when you trim off a piece of chain, the remaining piece is going to hang. It's a good idea to just go ahead and take your pliers and trim off the last piece that's hanging. And you can see there's a little tail end there. So every time we cut a piece of chain, we'll go ahead and just trim off the excess. There's plenty of chain in the package. We won't have to worry about running out. Alright, so we have our 20.5 inch length of chain. Step 2 is using a jump ring, attach an accent to the center of the necklace chain. I like to find the center by simply folding it in half. Find the center link, and then we'll use the jump ring to attach. You can go ahead and use 2 pairs of pliers or 1 plier, it's up to you. I like to use the 2 to make sure that my jump ring closes properly and so that I don't warp the ring when I'm using it. Okay, go ahead and attach this to the center and close the jump ring. Now this project overall is pretty simple. It's considered a beginner level project. However, it can also, if you're an intermediate or even an advanced jewelry maker, you could go ahead and make it. It's pretty simple, but it's a great way to learn how to cut chain, how to use jump rings, and maybe even just a great way to start jewelry making. All right, so I have the accent attached to the center of the chain. Step 3 is use a 4mm jump ring to attach a lobster claw clasp to one end of the chain and attach a 6mm jump ring to the other end. This is going to be our closure. So let's grab the 4mm jump ring